Hey, this is the antisocial socialite back at it again. Shout out to all of the wonderful new subscribers and returning friends. Welcome. If you are new to the channel, you have not yet subscribed. What are you waiting for, darling? Hit that subscribe button, smash that notification bell. So when I get to running this mouth, baby, you are in the loop. You see the title, you know what time it is. Everybody was saying the last video was cut too short, so we need to do a part 2. And luckily our friend Neko actually did a second video, so she cut it short. I think something happened to the last one. We didn't even get to the end, but she actually had a part 2 ready to go for us, so we're going to break that down, and then whoever wants to come up, we can talk about the unfolding saga with Tommy, DJ Envy, my thoughts on Umar and everything. So we know that there's a lot of ground to cover. I don't want this to go on for too long. So let's get into the video. Let's see.
Recording me again because my phone just glitched out the blue for no reason. Okay, so I was making a point about Dr. Umar, but I wait for some of you to log back on before I go into that, because I thought it was a very interesting point, and it kind of goes to what I'm saying about the community being completely bankrupt by 2053. So so think about it like this, you guys. So if you have Black women excelling financially, buying real estate, buying property, doing everything that they need to do, that's fine. But if you look at any community, specifically in Western society, they can talk about all these different places, but let's talk about where we actually exist. The men lead economically. Black women are trying, but we just cannot. It's just not possible for us to do it all. We have been given the charge to carry the weight of our community on our shoulders. And when we address our men and ask them to step in and support us, or step in and take the lead, they always again throw the ball back to us. They pass the responsibility back to us, and it's really unfortunate. You know what I mean? And that's why we're going to lose, because it's just impossible for women to be able to sustain like that. If you're in business to any degree, what you know for sure is that there's just conversations that women, when it comes to industry and building, that women are just not privy to. Not even white women. There's just certain conversations that men have with men, and typically when you're sitting in high level rooms, right? Well, I won't say sitting in, but when there are high level rooms put together and you have billionaires coming together to discuss things, it is typically not women. Every now and then there will be one who made money either from divorcing a billionaire husband, or your Oprah types, a media maven. But most women that are in that type of status, they inherited their wealth. They didn't build their wealth. There's very few. I think Martha Stewart might be one. There's a sprinkle or two here and there. But again, those women are typically not in areas where there's infrastructure involved. What I mean by infrastructure, in high level education, with colleges, with farming, with electrical, with building, lumber, things like that. It is typically male dominated industries, technology, electronics. Some of these industries do create opportunities for women, but more than likely it's going to be men. And most of those men are typically highly educated. So again, when I tell you that on Instagram that Black men were literally laughing at Black women for having an education, imagine this. Imagine being a doctor.
Okay, so she said a lot right there. It's the same usual rubbish. She started talking about the men, the high level, the men. First and foremost, the idea that women are being expected to carry the weight of the community is a fallacy. Women are not actually asked to carry the weight of the community. They are literally destroying the foundation of the community. The things that they are doing, the things that we have done, they actually undermine the progress of the Black community. So this, victimhood narrative, this woe is me narrative that poor Black women have to carry the community, that's a fallacy. That's not something that's happening. It's not something that Black women are being asked to do. It's something that they are choosing to do. So I agree that these men are in these high profile positions. The men are highly educated, but they are educated from a very young age. And as we've discussed many times, Black women often are not even teaching their own sons to read. So how do you expect them to compete at an elite level when they have elementary, education skills? And now she's going to use like an extreme straw man argument.
You went to school for 18 years, however long you went, and you become a cardiac specialist. and you are working in the hospital, and then one of these Instagram niggas gets rushed in there because he's been shot.
Now, first and
And he needs
foremost,
surgery.
we know that's definitely a shot at Kevin Samuels, because I don't really think there's anybody that's that popular apart from maybe Derek Jackson, who isn't criticizing black women. I can't really think of anybody else who's actually criticizing black women on Instagram. Most of the black men criticizing black women are actually on YouTube. So she says, so you're a doctor, a female doctor, and imagine one of these guys come in injured at the hospital.
Isn't it ironic that he was one of the people who laughed at the fact that you acquired debt getting an education? Isn't it ironic? Does anybody else find that to be like a real harsh reality? You're literally laughing at a person that you got to lay down in front of with your dingling hanging out on the table in the hospital because you've been injured. And you can't fix your motherfucking self watching YouTube videos. So she had to go get an education in order to be able to assist you to live.
I mean, this is an extreme case. There are very few women who have actually made it to that level of status, okay, where they're actually helping save lives. So Brunsberg says delusional at best. We have to copyright the word at best, because we don't want Kevin to lose his cool over the whole copyright business. But yeah, it's absolutely delusional, because most women, very few women are in that top position of, cardiologists. Very few women actually have masters or PhDs. As much as we laugh about the PhD thing, most women do not have that high level of education. So it doesn't even make sense. But she's using yet again a very extreme example where black men are criticizing women, and not just black men, Western men in general are criticizing Western women for gathering loads of debt, often in degrees that they don't put to any good use. And when they go into marriage, they want someone else to pay that debt off for them. So we all know a lot of people get degrees in fields they never end up working. So these women bragging on their education and leading with their education is the problem. It's nothing to do with, men are intimidated by your success, which is the shaming tactic that she wants to go with. But okay, whatever.
But you thought that was something odd. Like you literally talk down on women because they have an education?
No one talks down on women because they have an education.
No, I didn't say that they were making fun of surgeons. I was giving an example of them making fun of black women who get educated. Okay?
Most black women are not surgeons.
Facebook too. They're everywhere. They're everywhere. So it's just, again, the men in my circle just operate very differently. And it's just shocking and mind-boggling to me. But the problem is that the men in my circle, unfortunately, are the minority. The men in my circle don't make it the majority. So what do we do about that, fellas? What do we do about that? Because talking about my hair, my makeup, my weight is not going to change the dynamic. We are headed towards 2053, where we're expected to be completely bankrupt. And based on my soul plane experience, I can see exactly why.
She asked a good question, but then anyway, right? She asked a good question. Exactly what are we going to do about it? But
it's a lot more of them. So what do we do? What do we do? Because that's the majority. What do we do? What do we do about that? Right? If you're the average of 5 people, right? And if women decide, you know what, I'm tired of these men, I don't want to have no more babies by them. That's one thing we got going against us. We're not able to reproduce. More black women dating white men, more black men dating white women, dwindling out. That bloodline dwindling right on out. And then financially.
Did she just? She cares about the bloodline, but not the father of the kids. It's like, I need those brown babies, but it doesn't matter by whom. It's like, that was the most ridiculous statement. I never hear black women saying, I really care about black children. It's always men I hear saying, I want my children to look like me. So this notion that she really cares about black women wanting black kids, that was a low blow.
We're at the bottom. Not because white men holding you down, but because you don't even have life insurance. And if you do have life insurance, you don't have enough to create any type of real wealth within your family. $100,000 is not enough. $25,000 is not enough. $10,000 is not enough. You have to have millions of dollars, right? And you have to have a plan. You have to have a trust in place, right?
You don't mean
And
millions of
there's a
dollars. I
man
don't
that
believe
asks,
that.
really, and you know what? It's funny that you say that. That was gonna make my Dr. Umar point. But the men that complain, well, you want to be equal. Why don't they ever acknowledge that? Why don't they ever acknowledge that we want to be equal with the amount of money that they earn? So they have the capability to out earn us, is what I'm saying. Like my girl just said, they have the capability to out earn us because men make more money than women by the hour, but they're behind us in general. I know somebody right now. I won't say.
Okay, that's not true. The average man makes more money than the average woman, but and the top earners are men. The average is the median is $10,000 more for men than women. It depends which bracket you look at. Women out earn men in some respects, but overall, men on average earn more than women. And when it comes to top earning positions, they're predominantly held by men. So that's just not even true. But that was yet more.
I know somebody right now who's trying to hire black men, and he cannot get them to even show up to the interviews.
Single mother raised, isn't it?
Like, oh man, my girl pregnant. What? She Jazz? The baby about to be here. What you mean your girl pregnant? You ain't even showing up to the interviews. They're struggling to keep them employed because they don't show up, and when they do show up, they want to be hired, they want to take breaks, they want to take days off, they want to celebrate, they want to take the day off to celebrate 420.
That weave can change a lot.
I knew a dude that he felt like going to get a job at like Lowe's or Home Depot or something like that was beneath him. But you don't think that staying at home and sleeping on your auntie's couch is beneath you? That's not beneath you. But going to work at a job where people might see you actually earning an income is beneath you. Right? I'm just saying. So I think that the conversation, in order for us to really build wealth, the conversation has to evolve. Did I celebrate 420? Yeah, I celebrated. I celebrated getting some motherfucking money and going to LA with my friends to talk about some business so we can get 4.2 fucking million. Okay? I give a fuck about weed. I'm 48 years old. I was smoking weed at 18. I'm not doing the same shit that I did 30 years ago.
Apart from gossiping.
Hopefully you can understand where I'm coming from.
You're gossiping like a 14-year-old, but apart from that.
Okay? If we're not talking about 4.2 million, I don't give a fuck about it. Unless you're talking about me owning a dispensary. Is that what we're talking about? Are we talking about me investing? Because otherwise, what are we talking about? Right? I'm just wondering. Let me marinate on that for a minute. Jamel said the only outcome is income. Exactly. Hey, Mom. See, that's my boy right there. That when I was in the Lambo, I'm gonna go ahead and throw it back in my story so y'all can see my boy. Real smart dude, real sharp dude. And I don't just respect him because he gets a shitload of money. That's the byproduct of him being an intelligent man. That's a byproduct of him taking his mind and putting it into good use. His success is a byproduct of that. And that's the difference. Again, the men in my circle, I just attract different type of men. When I stop accepting, ladies, let me tell you something. Let me give you some game real quick. I grew up in county, right? So pimps, hustlers, and drug dealers was just what I grew up around. So it was nothing for me to date a hustler. It was nothing for me to date a pimp. It was nothing for me to date a dude like that because every dude was like that, right? That's the Cali way. You grind, you get money. You get money by any means necessary. So I've been dealing with that element and mindset, but the problem is that some of them never grow out of that. Some of them do. Some of my friends, they get money to have businesses now. They took that same grind, same hustle. They own barbershops, multiple barbershops. They own car dealerships. They own what do you call it? Group homes. They have real credit repair companies. They have real businesses, and they hustle on other businesses like they used to hustle in the street. But they get way more.
So you see, this is what we mean about black women creating the men that they complain about. She's actively endorsing men hustling, and most of the men are not making money like that in the street. I'm not condoning that life, but most of the men are not making a lot of money the way she's talking about hustling. But yet she's basically endorsing any means necessary, which is basically crime. She doesn't mind black men doing crime, even though she knows a lot of them are going to be caught. Like a lot of them, even if they're not caught, it's not because they couldn't be caught. It's because they're not ready to catch you yet. And so when you have women like the Sweeties talking about, how much dollar Birkins, and, if a man can't buy you this, and broke men this and broke men that, they are the ones who get caught up with women like this. A woman like this telling them you need to get that money by any means necessary, rather than teaching them to hustle legit from day one, so that they don't have to. And you could bring this into the whole DJ Envy trying to take shots at Kevin, who was allegedly standing outside the Hermes store giving out business cards and consultations. How are you, George? You all right? It's like the man is legally going to a place where people want high-end fashion to try and give consultation. It's like, where best to find people who like fashion than in a place where people are shopping for fashion. And the guy is trying to crap on, or DJ Envy is trying to crap on Kevin for allegedly doing that, when that's a smart business move. But when you have people who don't understand business and they would rather you actually do crime in order to get money, these are the kind of women that get men hemmed up, shot, killed, in the street, criminal records, and jail. Telling a guy by any means necessary, you are literally setting that guy up for failure, because most of them are never going to get out of the street. As she said it herself, most of them are still in that street mentality. So why would you raise up your boys to go into the street in the first place? As if the streets are the only place that you can make money. 48-year-old straggler, no man, only with her friends, using dollars as the husband. I see her waiting to exhale powwow in the distance. Of course, of course. George says, there are words for men like that. Patsy, porn, and cannon fodder. Exactly. She's literally setting you up. And it's like, this need to stunt, this need to tell people I've got money and I've had money from I was born, from day one, is why so many black men in particular are getting into the trouble that they're getting into, because they feel the need to validate their existence with material things that they don't have the skill set to go and earn. And because we have this backwards culture of if you're doing things the right way, you're a coon. If you're doing things the right way, you're a sellout, you're a lame. People are actually shamed for being productive, but they're endorsed and embraced by the black community when they're doing the unproductive things. It's like, if you're not standing on street corners, you're not authentically black or something. And so people dumb themselves down because they feel like, I really need the validation of people who are broke. Because a lot of the people that we try to impress, they have nothing to offer us. They cannot lead us, they cannot help us, they cannot open any doors for us. But we sabotage our own future to be accepted by a group of broke people. And it's, and women like this, this is what we mean. Well, when I say women help to create the men they complain about, telling young men you need to get it by any means necessary is a setup. Bronco said DJ Envy was the one of those, let me add in my 2 cents only because it's popular, brother. The brother was deeply misguided. He ain't know what he's talking about. He doesn't. And we all know that DJ Envy had issues with his wife. There was cheating and things like that. So he has to tread very carefully, because his whole existence is predicated on female validation. If he got his big break through other DJs putting him on, female DJs. I'm sure a lot of the people who watch The Breakfast Club are female. He knows he's going to get a lot of backlash if he doesn't kiss their behind. A lot of them probably haven't forgiven him for cheating on his wife. So he's got to do everything to get into the black woman's good graces. And what that actually proves is, men understand that there's such a thing as the gynocracy, that you cannot really critique women. It's just like a default setting. As soon as somebody challenges a woman, this gynocratic need to be chivalrous rises up inside of them, and it's like, oh, Kevin, I can't stand him, I hate him, he's doing women dirty. And it's like, but deep down it's the truth. Because, shout out to Obsidian talking about him, was it cheating or seeing, what's her name? Is it Olivia Mina? I can't remember her name. And she was really a stunningly beautiful woman. So why are you complaining about rating women when you're not probably dating any unattractive women yourself? But I mean, that's the disingenuousness of people who are gynocratic drones. We know the Breakfast Club is probably, the Breakfast Club has got to Erica. So yeah, that's it. We know the Breakfast Club has probably got to tread very lightly because they are not independent. There's certain things they probably can't say. So she might be beyond ratchet in terms of her behavior, but in terms of her looks, she's very attractive. Here's the thing, DJ Envy sits across from a dude who made similar comments. I mean, if you're talking about, Charlemagne, the let me take advantage of you while you're drunk, then I can't watch it because he's on there. I just can't bear the show because he's on it. But I can't be dealing with it.
More money, right? So I grew up in Cali where that was just the standard. But let me tell you something, ladies. What I never understood, because it wasn't in my environment, what I never understood is that was the lowest potential that a black man could have. Selling dope and living that life, that was the lowest thing he could ever be. That was him working at his minimum potential. That was him not elevating or evolving. But now I don't entertain those conversations, those men. It's not that I think that I'm better than them. I just outgrew them. Okay? I outgrew them. I outgrew that mentality. I outgrew that accepting that behavior. So if he's not going to elevate his mind, if he's not going to elevate his upbringing, if he's not going to study and learn something new, then I can't fuck with him. And that's just what it is. So now I said, okay, no one like that is allowed in my life. Not even women. There are women that smoke weed every day, chilling, kicking, still going to the same shit that they were going to when I left California 10 years ago. Okay, I'm not fucking with you either. I'm not fucking with you either. You still stuck. I can't even talk to you about no money. You ain't gonna even be able to relate with me. You're not gonna be able to elevate me. You're not gonna be able to agree or disagree on anything because you're not gonna be able to understand where I'm going. And I'm not saying that everything's about money, but I am saying that everything's about fucking growth. And that's why we're losing, because people don't want to grow the fuck up. They don't want to elevate. It's too hard. It requires work. Right? Just like I just told you how my friend can't even get people to come in to fucking work. You don't want to go to work. I go to work every fucking day. I just had a photo shoot today. Y'all see I dropped the shoe line. I already have a tax lien company. Credit repair, getting back into that. I got a cosmetics and credit where if you want to go get, even though my boobs are real, but if you want to get something like these, come see this. So I'm building partnerships, relationships, business funding, financing, right? Because the hustle don't motherfucking stop. That's what I did learn from Cali. The grind don't fucking stop. You stopping. So when a man, and I used to turn loosely. So when a man,
it's like you can't help yourself. You gotta just take that shot. You gotta take that shot, that dig. You gotta just chuck it in there. You couldn't just let it go, but
blames a woman for his inability to get paper, and I see niggas making millions off their mind. I can't fuck with you. I can't even relate to you. I can't even have a conversation with you. You speaking motherfucking Spanish to me. No English, no Espanol, no understand you. I don't understand. I don't get that shit. It doesn't even translate to me. Again, all the dudes that I know, they was hustlers back then. But now I know better. I know men that hustle differently. But ladies, black women are going to have to stop accepting men where they're at. Now, I do have a disclaimer. If he in his 20s, okay. You get what I'm saying? We finding our way. But 28, 29, 30, 40, and up, no fucking way. No way. No way. That is literally, that is, what did I say? It's intentional. That is, he's being very intentional about not being shit. He's intentional about it. Because at that stage, there's no way. There's just no way that he should be able to have some people. Let me tell you something. My son is 18 years old. My youngest one. My oldest one is in the military. He's serving in the military. He take care of his family. His wife don't work. I wish she would, but she don't. My son is 19 years old. He has a job. He said, Mom, in 2 months, I'm going to have at least 10 stacks. I'm hustling. Because I told him, whatever money, by May 1st, whatever money you're able to earn off your stocks alone, not his job, not his side hustle, but off his stocks alone, if he's able to earn, whatever he's able to earn, he earn $5,000, I said, I will match you. So if you earn 5, I'll give you 5. If you earn 10, I'll give you 10. So, 10, I want 5. But, I mean, this boy hustling. He was like, Mom, I made $1,000 today. That was a conversation I had. He's 19 years old. He's 19 years old. You on my live talking about help you what? Nigga, take this pacifier and get the fuck out of my face. What am I gonna do with you? There's nothing that I can do with you. I'm past that stage, ladies. You don't have to. Instead of, you know what? Let me tell you something. A man is only going to elevate as high as his women will allow. For instance, if you stop allowing these dudes to fuck with you when they...
Okay, so I watched another one of her videos, and in the video, she was talking about her two sons. I think one of them's getting married, and you heard what she said just now about business. This is the hypocrisy of a lot of the women who talk like her. You know that at 19, you have been raising that boy to be business savvy from a child. She said he had shoes that were so beat up. When she found them stored in a cupboard, she was kind of embarrassed at how worn out they were. And she's like, my son doesn't know the latest J's, but my son knows the latest, business deal going down, where to invest, what's hot, what's not. And I was like, how many black women are having conversations like this with their sons? The vast majority are not. And that's the real reason why by 2050 something, allegedly, the black community in America is going to be bankrupt. Because there is a lack of prioritization, if that's even a real word. She prioritizes money. Now, we're not saying that money is everything, but if you're going to have an investment, a portfolio, if you're going to start a business, you need funds, you need resources, and you also need to be business minded. That's why Clown DJ Envy is talking about why would you stand outside of a high-end fashion store giving out your business card trying to get clientele. Well, obviously, if I want to do, say I'm Jessica with the pet grooming business, I'm going to stand outside the park because that's where people go to walk their dog. I'm going to park my, if I'm selling ice cream out of a truck, I'm going to go out on a hot day when people want ice cream. That's just called common sense if you're running a business. Why are you going to stand in one place waiting for customers to come to you when you can just go and plant yourself in the midst of wherever the people are congregating looking for a particular product already? That's just common sense. But, shout out to Edward Anderson and a few other people, Jada Black. They're like, DJ Envy is a job's worth. He literally is an employee. Okay, he's got a good salary, but he is nothing more than an employee. So for him, it's like, oh, let me shame this guy for having initiative. But that's what you have to do if you're trying to build a business. It's not like there's no way around it. This woman has got money, but you can see she's talking about like 4 types of income. She's trying to get into cosmetic surgery, tax liens. What was the other thing she said? She does investing as well. I know she's got cryptocurrency. She's got several streams of income coming in because she understands you can never take your foot off the gas when you're self-employed. You have to keep pushing, trying to find new ways to create leads and do everything you have to do to generate more business because you don't know when the next opportunity is coming. So when you have men like, DJ Envy talking rubbish to other men about why would you do that, these are the shaming tactics that you expect women to use. A lot of the times, black men are sadly being held up by other black men who have too much sex on the brain, black men who have too much immature thinking on the brain, just not prioritizing the things that actually need to be, at the forefront of their mind. And then they're getting around dudes telling them you got to get it by any means necessary to impress a woman like this, and they end up wrecking themselves. It's like, it doesn't make any sense.
Not doing shit, okay, because he fine or got a good pee. Let me tell you something, Nico ain't never like. Let me tell you something, I ain't never like sex more than I like money. Never in my life. Never.
No, that's a good point.
Never.
I actually agree with
I never
that.
thought to myself, well, at least I'm sleeping with him. He got to have shit going for himself. He got to have some money. He had to, we ain't going to dinner. Come over.
Now, when I said about the whole sleep with you when you're drunk, that was allegedly Charlemagne the God. There was I don't know if it's a conviction or an allegation made against him that years ago when he was at a party, this chick passed out and he still ended up sleeping with her. And while he was in the midst of the act and she's passed out, people were coming in the room asking if they could have a turn. And he said, no, that's kind of like a crime, And then when she came to and was sober, quote unquote, then afterwards, she was like, what happened? And he explained, and she was like, oh, I'm glad it was you. And I would be like, even if you consented before you passed out, I mean, how do you get aroused having sex with somebody that you have to hold a mirror to their face to check they're still breathing? Like, she's not making any noise, there's no response because she's too inebriated. Like, how do you even get pleasure from that, Charlemagne? How? I mean, but that's not the topic of the conversation, but I just want to make it clear that's not, we're not talking about Kevin, we're talking about that guy. That's one of the reasons why I wish they're forcing the Breakfast Club on me like Charlemagne with a drunk woman. Every time my video ends, they try to open the Breakfast Club. Can you stop it? YouTube. This is one of the things you can work on. Stop forcing the Breakfast Club on me.
What? Y'all doing that? Y'all doing that? I know some highly intelligent women that do that stupid shit. Y'all doing that? Because if y'all stop doing that, guess what? They're going to have to raise the bar. Because what men? Let me tell you something. What men like more than money. I don't know if you knew that or not.
Now that I actually agree with. She has a
more
point.
Than money. That's why they spend their money on it. You're not buying pink. They buy it. They rent it. They pay to look at it on it's not Instagram. OnlyFans. They will pay just to look at it. You know what I'm saying? You know, OnlyFans ain't wrong. You can't touch the woman. So how are these women making 5 to 10 fucking million a month? Making $1 million in an hour if it ain't true. It got to be true. Numbers don't motherfucking lie. Bitches making $1 million in an hour for you to look and see it. I don't care what kind of mail it is. I'm telling you this much. It's a $1 billion industry. Okay? You make $1 million in an hour. I don't want to hear shit about being alpha. I don't give a fuck. Alpha, beta, gamma, ray. Who gives a fuck? $1 million in an hour? Okay. Like I said, they love. So if you remove that from them, ladies, and expect for them to elevate to a higher level, then they will. Because they're going to do whatever it takes to get it. So clearly, whatever y'all saying on motherfucking social media, you ain't doing it in real life. Because shit ain't changing. Okay? You said you in the wrong profession? Let me tell you something. It's crossed my mind. But then I think about some of the dudes on the internet, and I think, do I want him to see my snatch for $5? Yeah. I'll make $1 million in an hour some other kind of way. Okay? I'd rather sell my skin. Okay? In no fucking way. I'll let one of these hobos see my snatch for $5, $10. Fuck no, I don't give a fuck. No way.
No, that I
no
actually
fucking
agree
way.
with.
Just the thought of it gives me the creeps.
That's actually true.
So,
Oh
again, back to what I was saying. Our community is expected to go bankrupt in 2053. And none of our men are more concerned about that than they are about our hair extensions. And that's pretty scary.
How many times is she going to touch this weave? I didn't notice it before, but it's like, it's literally every 10 seconds. It's not yours. Only you paid for it, but it's not yours.
You know, I saw a dude recently pass away. He was a Facebook friend of mine. And it's weird because he used to be on here and he used to be talking about, you know, money and this and that and like shit. Like he had his shit together. He was pushing fresh whips and stuff. And then someone sent me a message that I don't even know and was like, can you give me some money for his funeral? I was like, you know, we're not actually friends, right? And it was just odd to me because his appearance and how he had showed himself was very, you know, like he was had his shit together. So to get that message was very disheartening because I'm like, damn, if he didn't have his shit together, boy, you know what I mean? He wasn't no fool, you know? He was nobody's fool whatsoever. And that's why we're going to go bankrupt, guys, because it's more people acting like that they have these things going and they don't actually have these things going. Now that might work for Instagram, but in real fucking life, it just actually don't work. You know? Let's see. Oh, y'all having a different conversation. But anyway, listen, fellas, these women is out hustling you and they outdoing you in every category, and all you can do is talk about them, you know, instead of, you know, joining them. You know what I mean? You ever heard the saying, if you can't beat them, join them? Because again, y'all not talking about the Kevin Samuels to tell you to get your shit together. I had a fat fuck come on my shit, leaking all kinds of milk out of his titties, and tell me that I'm average at best. Just repeating shit that he heard on the internet. Then one of them says they know I'm single because of my attire, as if men don't like sexy clothes. What the fuck? And then I seen this woman that understood, you know, basically where it was coming from. But you know, listen, you know, don't worry about whether I'm single. Don't worry about my extensions. Don't worry about anything have to do with me. I'll tell you what you worry about. You worry about if you got a motherfucking 401k. I tell you, do you know your fucking kids if you don't get to know? I tell you, if you don't have.
Oh, here we go with the assumption that the man's got kids that he doesn't take care of. It's just like, oh, too much.
Some fucking life insurance. I tell you this, if you're gonna listen to Kevin Samuels, don't listen to the shit that sound cool. Listen to all the shit he said. Okay? So, you know, I want y'all to stop coming to my page bugging the dog shit out of me about stuff I don't care about, like you, for instance. You know, I care about the community at large. I care about your financial well-being. You know, I care about, you know, I do care about what's going to happen in 2053, and I want us to fix that shit. You know, I want us to fix that shit. Like, we got a lot going on. And we don't have no time to be discussing these frivolous things. We have to discuss some real shit. What industries is you motherfuckers gonna start putting together? What about these gangs? Y'all scared to talk about gangs? Y'all scared to talk about, because that's a real issue. You know what I mean? Police brutality ain't killing you more than you killing yourself. You know, there's a little girl in Chicago was shot in her head because a dude did a drive-by. And y'all all talking about the girl that was shot by the police that had a knife in her hand. Let me tell you something. If that was my daughter or someone on the other end of that knife, I would have been like, I'm glad you did your job, sir. Because there were plenty of adults there that could have broke up that situation, and they decided to engage in the fight instead of handling their business as adults and breaking that shit up. They decided to participate.
That's
so
true.
The lack of accountability, you're pushing off into other areas. You're pushing off into Black women. You're pushing off into the police. You're pushing off into everything. But I am waiting for someone. When is the motherfucker gonna come on the internet and start talking about male accountability and go viral? Where is that dude at?
I think Kevin Samuels' first big video on World Star was actually him shouting at a guy. First and foremostly. Secondly, yeah, she has a point about the two girls. Had the police officer not stopped the girl with the knife, you would have had probably 2 dead girls, because the girl without the knife would have been attacked with the knife, and then the girl with the knife would have been taken out by the police. So instead of 1, you would have had 2. And she's right. But again, this is single mother raised situations. You know, she's going to start talking about drive-by shootings. Well, these are hood people. These are hood people. You're dealing with people from the hood, and then, you know, you're getting caught up and they drive by your house, and because they can't get you or they're trying to shoot you, a stray bullet catches a child. But she don't want to talk about that part, how she doesn't want to talk about the fact that these issues happen because of the low dem areas. You're talking about get it by any means necessary. Well, what if you're encroaching on someone else's turf? Now they want to they want their turf back, they want their money, that you've done a deal that's gone bad or whatever, and now this is the recompense. They're driving past your house with a gun. So this argument doesn't make any sense. She thinks she's saying something, but she's not saying anything. How can you turn around and tell people get it by any means necessary, including crime? And you know crime doesn't really pay. And now she's going to come with the crocodile tears about, you know, drive-bys. When these are the same women dealing with men getting it by any means necessary.
Yeah, they can say what they want to say. She was defending herself against adults. That's what they say. What was they even doing there? Y'all got a million reasons why people should be doing the stuff they're doing. No accountability is what I'm talking about. What about that 7-year-old? Y'all ain't saying nothing about that. I said a 7-year-old was shot in the head, and we still talking about the 16-year-old that had a knife to defend herself. The 7-year-old child could not defend herself. And that's what I mean about redirecting the conversation. I told you 2 things. We have to focus on the one that's actually the problem, because way more 7-year-olds are dying at the hands of gunshots to the head than girls being shot by the police that have a knife, that are engaged in the fight, not walking away from shit, because you can go in the house. They didn't break into her house and pull her outside. I know that didn't happen. They didn't go to her house and pull her outside. Okay? Because a bunch of motherfuckers are coming to my house right now. But if I'm inside, I'm going to call the police. When the police get there, they're not going to be able to shoot me because I'm going to be in the house, not outside, with a knife. Okay? We have situations in our community with our men that have to be addressed. A 3-year-old child was shot at his own party in Miami. Ugh. Okay. My point is exactly. 3-year-old babies being shot. 7-year-old children being shot. 9-year-old boys being executed. Right? The men in our community have to start having different conversations about the violence, about the sexual aggression, and about our financial stability. And men, other men in the community, they're going to have to handle that. They're not going to listen to me. They're going to log into my live and talk about stupid shit that Kevin Samuels told them. But they're not going to talk about the shit that he said when he tell them to get their motherfucking saggy titties the fuck out of here and go get their shit together and go start taking care of their business. They're not going to talk about none of that. They're only going to talk about the things that make them feel comfortable. And ladies, it's our job to hold them accountable. It's our job not to open our legs. Remember that movie? What was it called? Chirac. Chirac. They said, okay, we're going to close our legs and not sleep with these men until they start killing each other. I actually thought that was like a fantastic idea. Because what else is going to make them stop? It ain't money. It ain't self-respect or dignity. It ain't kids dying. It ain't the community going to shit fucking hell. It ain't children being shot in the head. It's none of that. The only thing that they actively pursue outside of marijuana is sex. Again, if you're making $1 million in an hour on OnlyFans, it ain't winning money.
There are less men pursuing marijuana. Just stop it. There are more men being educated, but certain colleges are enrolling less men than ever, probably because more men are just going to average universities. They're not going to the high-end universities. But in terms of more men getting educated, less men being in prison, the number of men going to jail is actually going down. So just play that narrative. Come on.
You were just thinking about that movie? Kind of feeling? I paid a lot of money to get it put in. My dental game is on point. I don't smoke. I rarely drink. Although I got completely drunk this weekend. It was embarrassing. It was an accident. Somebody might have put some shit in my drink. Because I'm going to tell you, I drink that same drink all the time. But for whatever reason, I barely made it to my Uber. When it was black feet.
Yeah, I would have.
Completely unacceptable. Again, ladies, we have to get our shit together. Don't be talking about them wearing their pants under their ass and, all the, they bad teeth and all that kind of stuff. And then you walking around here and you looking more like a nigga than him. It's unattractive. It's unattractive. Okay? So, let's see. Slice in the kitchen, water, olive oil. Water, olive oil for what? What do you use the olive oil on? The male comments, what are they saying? What they saying? Don't y'all be laughing when I'm talking about the women, and then when I'm talking about the men, y'all be in y'all feelings. Okay? Because nothing I said about the women is untrue, and nothing I said about the men is untrue. Okay? Ladies, let me tell you something. I'm about to get off because I'm kind of chit-chatting right now. I have decided to do a 30-day, oh shit, I gotta go buy my auntie some PJs. I'm gonna do a 30-day, like, women's thing. Never look like me, okay? Never look like me. I'm literally her, and I was a cheerleader, and her son played football, and my best friend was dating her son, but she, like me, she thought I had ambition, and she just really liked me as a young girl. She gave me my first real perfume, no body spray. She gave me my first real expensive perfume. She gave me my first pair of bikini underwear, and she was just so feminine. She was just so prissy. She cooked, she took care of her husband, her family. She was just like the ultimate girly girl, and so I connected with her. I even introduced her to my mother, and her and my mother became friends. Because my mother was like a super duper workaholic, like an executive at Wells Fargo, and she was like work. So I ended up with Deborah. So ladies, we're gonna go through the Deborah regimen. I'm gonna take you through what she took me through. We used to get nails. I used to go to her house. I was spending the night at her house. We would literally sit there, watch VHS.
So if she understands the value of a woman mentoring a girl into womanhood, then why can't she understand that boys also need the same thing? It's just. And I think I don't know if she was divorced or what. I know she has at least 2 sons. And they seem to both be business savvy. So if women are not doing this for their own sons, then you're not going to stop this trend of 2053 mass bankruptcy in the black community. We should blame the dad for the 7-year-old getting hurt. However, it's the mother who allowed him to be with her. The mom knew he was gang affiliated. Always. That was probably part of the attraction. Know what, auntie? No, put her in a simulated similar situation. I want to see what she would do. Yeah, I mean, when something goes off, a lot of people don't know what to do. They don't know what to do. Hey, bringing clarity to confusion. Yeah, this woman is definitely in need of some clarity. Shout out to Great Britain. Respect to you in the building. So yeah, I mean, this lady's just talking cash rubbish.
Girly stuff. Like all the stuff I do with my nieces, like little feminine things. We did all the girly stuff. But again, she was also a boss too. that had a really, really good job. She was an executive in San Francisco. No, she was an executive assistant in San Francisco for major transportation. But she handled her business. So we're going to go through that. We're going to talk about business. We're going to talk about spirituality. We're going to talk about femininity. I've been wanting to do it for a very long time, and I just haven't done it. We're going to talk about cooking, and what I'm trying to get is women who are specialists in that area. So we already have a feminine women group. So if you guys want to join it, it's feminine women only. So I'm thinking about doing it sometime in May around Mother's Day, kicking it off then, right? I know April personally. We've been around each other, and I won't say nothing about that. But yeah. So join the group. It's called Feminine Women Only, and you can go in there. And right now it's just a bunch of stuff in there, but in there is where I think I'm going to host it. Okay, that's where I think I'm going to host it. So just join the group, and I'm looking for women who specialize. Like I have one friend. She's a Facebook sisterhood. I don't know about nobody disrespect each other. We've had this group. How long we had it for those of you who in it? We've had it for about a year. So I could box in heels. I could do stuff in heels. So of course.
Sorry, I haven't watched this to the end. So this is like a reaction video. I don't know what's coming at the end, but I can see she's talking a lot to people in the chat about something I'm not interested in. Let's go.
But if you've been on Facebook for a little while, then I'll let you in. Okay, so I had 19 members. Let's see. I gotta check the Facebook join date, because let me tell you, I do have some stalkers and weirdos in company. So everybody looks like they've been in here in Facebook for a while. So I'm gonna let all y'all in right now. Again, ladies, can somebody type Feminine Women Only for me? So I just confirmed all 20 of you right now. Feminine Women Only. Okay. So I'm gonna let y'all into some things. I've been wanting to do this for a while. If I show y'all my list that I created, what did I call it? I had like 40 or 50. 40. I'm looking for it right now. Because y'all know last year around this time I started the collective movement, and that's another thing. We're gonna talk about sisterhood and being able to work with other women and being able to respect other women in business, being able to work together, what that looks like, your attitude, checking your attitude. I have to check myself about that often.
Great, but it says because they're divorced from the growth and development of their male offspring, they should be raised. They should be raised to be utility. Yeah, exactly.
About the spirituality, getting reconnected with your spirituality to whatever level that is, and really being genuine with yourself about it, so that you are able to. Dang, y'all gotta find it. So that you're able to really grow. Okay, so you're able to really grow. Hey y'all, I'm still waiting. Give me a second. I'm on live. I'm not good as you think I am at multitasking. So as soon as I get off the line, I will make sure that I add y'all all in. Don't kill me. I got to check to make sure that there's no stalkers. Because remember I had that stalker. She was coming on Facebook going crazy. So yeah, we're going to talk about education. We're going to talk about job opportunities. We're going to talk about everything. It's going to be a real girl chat up in here. Like I said, I want to do it for 30 days, but I really have to find my agenda. And I need to make sure that I have people that are willing to be guests to come on and talk to you guys so that they can, because again, I don't know everything. So I would prefer to bring people in who are specialists in the areas. Like I know some of you guys are interested in cryptocurrency. So I know that that's something that you're interested in. So I can have someone come in and talk about investing in stocks. Like this is serious business, okay? So go get Auntie. I know I'm about to go get her pajamas right now because she asked me like 2 hours ago. Okay, so I'm gonna thank you, Danny. So I know this video is long, you guys. Share it if you like. Otherwise, tell a friend, ladies. Tell a friend. If everybody tell a friend, we should have at least another 1,000 women in there, and it's free. At first, I was like, I should charge for this. I'm not. I don't need to. Number one, and number two, I just think that it'll be really, really healthy and really, really good for us to have this time for us, ladies. Okay.
So that's it, really. The video is over. Now she's publicizing her event, and as like a typical female, instead of doing something to invest in the men that she's complaining so much about, she then ends up talking about, let's do a women's powwow. Let's get all the women together and talk about women's stuff and more female empowerment, which is not going to do anything about the black men, not that you are actually dealing with, but who you're actually raising. So that's it, really. It's all over. I mean, I'm not really feeling to go through Dr. Umar's thing. It's sad. It's sad that he made that video. And we all know that he's a beta male. We all know that he doesn't actually care about the black community. All he cares about is basically he makes money from lying to black women. And so, of course, he's going to spiritual whistleblower. Shout out to Real Talk Realities. She broke the news to us that Tiffany Draper must have really harassed the spiritual whistleblower to the point that she actually issued a cease and desist letter to Tiffany Draper to stop dragging her for Kevin Samuels. And all of the videos that she put out about him, talking about he's a narcissist and he's this and calling him all kinds of names, she actually had to take those videos down. So well done to Tiffany. I know I wasn't going to go at that woman for any extended period of time. I don't know if I can find the video where he actually said what he said. But...
Can I make this video quick while I'm sitting here waiting in the Chick-fil-A line? Umar Johnson just,
Oh my God, is that SWP? That's my boy. I can't find the video. I'm so unprofessional. I should have queued it up so that it was ready to go. But I wasn't going to talk about it because I really can't stand Umar. He drives me nuts. I don't understand why people can't see that he's just using them for money. Talking about, is Jap live? Understanding the language of women. Should we all go over to Jap? Don't go over there just yet. So yeah, so people were really saying they want me to do a part 2. So if anybody wants to come up, the link is there. Feel free to click it. If you are not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. Hit the likes. I'm struggling to find this. Yeah, Sergeant Willie P. When I go off into my rants, I got to channel the spirit. Nah, babe, you just gotta get your chakra root right. We've got too much chakra root going on in this black community. That's why we've got the problems we got. Shout out to SWP. We love him. So let me see if I can find the video with Umar, or if anybody has any suggestions, anything they particularly want to talk about, then
now, let me say this, because I've been getting questions about these black male life coaches, these uncredentialed, uncertified, untrained, YouTubian black male life coaches. I'm not here to knock nobody. I don't know how anybody feeds their children. I don't know how to keep a roof over their head. I don't know how to keep food in their body. I'm not here to knock anybody's hustle. I'm not here to knock anybody's hustle because I don't know how to feed their children. I've had people try to destroy my profession, my professional career.
That was the bit that really hurt me, George.
Professional career as a clinician and a therapist. I've had
the way he went in and tried to use the fact that these women have been through trauma was like, wow, that was a blow that was super low. I couldn't believe he sunk to those depths of lows.
But destroy that because they didn't agree with my political platform. I've had people try to destroy that. So I will never attack another black man's ability to feed his family. Even with the gangster rappers, I will not attack their ability to feed their family. But I do want to say this to the black women out there. I'm disappointed in a lot of my sisters. I am disappointed in a lot of black women because I thought that our sisterhood was evolving to a place that would not tolerate. I thought black sisterhood was evolving to a place that would not tolerate slander and degradation of black women on any level for any reason. I thought, black sisters, that you guys were getting to a place, you sisters, you queens, my beautiful black goddesses, I thought you all were evolving to a place where you would not approve of Eurocentric slander and degradation and debasement and undue attacks on your integrity as a black woman. But I'm seeing black women, out of their thirst for male validation, entertain some of these Negroes who have no history of organizing in the black community. They have no history of fighting for our children. They have no...
But Omar has no history either. There's another video where he's saying basically they needed the blueprints. 2 years ago, they needed the blueprints, the original blueprints of a particular building. And that's what partly held up the building of the school. So you don't really have a history of doing anything either, Omar, to be fair.
Activism resume at all. Why would you subject yourself to that level of insult? Why would you subject yourself to that level of degradation and undue criticism from a complete stranger?
It's not undue, but
Because
okay.
you're looking for male validation. That's why we need the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy. See, when this gym...
Stop the cap. It's like at every opportunity to plug my school to get some money from you. It's kind of like with Derek Jackson in that first video where he kept showing his book. It's like, is this an apology or like a book a book promotion?
It's fully restored. When this gym is fully restored, I'm going to offer some sisterhood circles. Dr. Umar is going to offer some sisterhood circles right inside of this gymnasium. I'm going to offer some sisterhood circles right inside this gymnasium where I'm going to speak positivity and strength to our black women. I'm going to speak positivity
and strength to their private part.
The sun has come out. Woo-hoo! Woo! Mama Oshun is here, baby. Mama Oshun is here.
He thinks that makes him more credible.
Oh, Rumi La is here. Look at the sun. It just rained cats and dogs, and now look. The sun is shining on the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. The sun is shining. When we have our cookout, we're going to put a bunch of benches and tables out here for the cookout. We're going to have a lot of benches and tables right in the Anna Douglas, Amy Garvey.
He's going to say he said benches, but I don't think that's what he meant. He was talking about something, but it began with B, but I don't think it was benches. Because I swear that's not what he said. He's looking for that wife. Shouldn't an actual sister be talking to a sisterhood circle? Exactly. He's looking for two wives. You know, most people are looking for one. He's talking about a first wife when he's got two kids by two different women that he's not planning to marry their mothers anytime soon. But you know, Umar's a joke, so
we're gonna have a lot of benches out here in the Anna Douglas and Amy Garvey Park, brothers and sisters. But I'm going to have a lot of, this is your campus. Thank you for helping me buy this for our children. This is going to be the center of black organizing in North America as soon as the renovations are done. But
it would be nice if he gets the school done.
Dr. Umar is going to host some sisterhood circles where I can speak power and strength into black women. I'm going to speak power and strength. This is the Frederick Douglass High School you're looking at. I'm going to speak power and strength into our beautiful African sisters. That's right. I'm going to build you up. And what makes it so bad about these so-called life coaches, some of them actually regurgitate a lot of Dr. Umar talking points. People send me clips. People send me clips of some of these YouTubian opportunists, so-called life coaches, and I'm seeing some of them quote me verbatim without giving credit to the source. And some of them claim to not even like me. So why are you quoting my material and not referencing it? You obviously watch me.
Oh, stop,
you obviously watch me because too much of my material is coming out of your mouth. It's a whole group. There's at least 12. I think I've counted 12 different YouTubian beta male wannabe life coaches that are out.
We can talk about I know who I think they are. I got up to about 7 or 8. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be interesting.
Slandering black women, attacking black women, degrading black women. I count about a dozen. I'm gonna call them the dirty dozen of division. The triple D, the dirty dozen of division. There's about 12 members of the dirty dozen of division, 12 beta males, YouTube life coaches who are trying to build a platform by making black women feel bad. I don't like it. I can appreciate black men trying to make a dollar off of making black women feel bad. And unfortunately, our black women, some of them are so thirsty for validation that they're participating. They're participating in the attacks and slander against the black female community, and that's not acceptable. That's not acceptable. No black woman should ever subject herself, even for amusement. Even for amusement. Even for amusement, the black woman should never subject herself to another man's condemnation. And what makes the condemnation so ridiculous for me, it's mostly superficial. Most of the assessment is superficial, brothers and sisters. It's superficial. You weigh too much. You don't have the right body type. You don't have enough education. You don't make enough money. This is European standards. This isn't African. That's not who we are. And black women are subjecting themselves for this because they want a black man so bad to publicly validate them. They're taking a chance at being totally humiliated because they're so thirsty to have a black man publicly validate them. That's why you're doing this, black woman. See, I want you to understand and understand and overstand. The same reason you go on these YouTubian beta male so-called life coaching platforms, the same reason you go on these YouTubian beta male so-called life coaching platforms is the same reason you stay in abusive relationships. It's the same reason black women stay in abusive relationships.
That was the lowest part for me. I could not believe that he literally went there, that he literally tried
Yeah,
to
no, it was
emotion
ridiculous.
it from childhood trauma in order to justify. And the thing about it is this, you know, single mothers are more likely to inflict that kind of trauma on you than anything else. But it's always about demonizing the black man. So, yeah. How's it going? Long time no see, man. Dimitri, long time no see.
Yes.
He's like, yes. He's not going to stand for black men making money off black women's trauma unless he's getting his cut. I don't understand how anybody takes
Here's
the
my
mask
thing about
seriously.
citing the source. So you want people to do like MLA style citation, your last name, your first name, the date interviewed, the title of the video, at what seconds.
Timestamp.
It's like relax. It's
doesn't
not
make
even
sense
that
to
deep.
say well, it doesn't make sense to say that you're using my talking points if you're complaining that Kevin's talking points are actually harmful to black women. How can they be the same talking points if he's allegedly degrading women? Doesn't that mean your message is also degrading black women? So, you know, this whole idea of do for self, we know is something that's been around since the days of Malcolm X. Building your own community, Black Wall Street, building schools for yourself, do for yourself. This is not new. This is why Cynthia G's her criticism
It's the same reason
blew
black
me
women
away.
stay. Why do black women stay in a relationship where she's being exploited sexually, emotionally, or financially? Why doesn't the black woman leave?
Because she can't go anywhere else. You know, it's not rocket
Talk to
science.
me, black women. We're talking about the unconscious psychology of abuse of our sisters. We're talking about the unconscious psychology of why black women would rather stay. Because a lot of black women feel that if a man does not validate me, I'm not good enough as a woman. And some of our sisters' self-esteem are so low that they will stay with any man.
But does he actually explain why? That's the thing. Why is their esteem so low? It's low because they weren't validated as children. They had abusive mothers and probably no father. But he's not going to talk about that because that would mean holding women and mothers accountable.
Just to feel like a woman. That's where this comes from, black woman. That's why I'm working on my For Sisters Only relationships and dating book right now. That's why I'm working on my For Sisters Only relationships and dating book right now, because I want you sisters to understand what makes you get on YouTube and let a man destroy you like that. What makes you get on YouTube and reveal your private business to an absolute stranger? What makes you get into a relationship and let a man walk all over you?
The same thing that makes them get on TikTok and do silhouette challenge like naked and hope that no one takes the filter off, and the same one that makes them do Busset challenge and, you know, cucumber challenge. It's the same low self-esteem. I don't understand why he's not hitting out against those things that are more degrading than asking a man, do you think I'm going to get a husband and this is my current situation? You know.
This is that fatherlessness.
So
this is that father.
About the whole challenges thing, my whole thing is, as long as it's harmless, like, and it's safe. The silhouette challenge clearly wasn't safe. It clearly wasn't safe. I don't know why people thought that was a good idea.
I mean, it never occurred to me that you could take the filter off.
It never occurred to me either. But yeah, I guess it happens.
And then somebody putting it out there just meant that everybody was like, let's take the filter off this one. Let's take the filter off this one. It's like,
yeah,
I don't even know why you'd prance in front of the camera naked in the first place. But it's like the desperation to be seen.
Yeah,
It just
it's unhealthy. Cause
at
here's
this
the
point
thing.
it is.
Go ahead.
No, I was saying at this point it is unhealthy. I think it's been unhealthy for a while.
It, Here's what I was gonna say. Cause I agree to this extent. You do exist outside of a man's validation, but in the context of dating, that's pretty much the goal. So
Mm.
yeah, I don't know why people try to act like that's not an important factor. Because here's the
Yeah, there's
thing,
nothing wrong with
everything's
wanting a
connected.
relationship, but there's a way to go about it. And Umar's not
Exactly.
going to offer you any solutions because he's only going to feel more of the lies that you've been told that's actually kept you single. He's like Derek Jackson, who's probably broken up more relationships than he's actually put together. Telling women that you're queens and goddesses, it personally makes my skin crawl, but some
I was
women want to
talking
be
about
lied
this with
to.
my professor the other day.
And what did they say?
Uh, well, okay, so my professor, he was a Native American. So
Oh, okay.
uh, I was talking about the context of public opinion and how in the black community there's like trying to be a rise of this sort of opinion. And so I was going to examine in my 12-page paper that I did overnight uh, how um, that dynamic would occur.
Hmm.
But it seems like this opinion that's held within this space is already winning, because if that wasn't so, then why wouldn't a whole bunch of people like Kevin said?
It's true. It's
So
true.
it's kind of like, why don't we implement the things as well? That's one of the points I made to my instructor. I like this space, but if we try to bring it up to over to the other side, we get demonized,
Mm.
everything, and so nothing can actually change. So you have to actually do this sort of stuff with people who actually want change.
And that's few and far between. It's not so much people don't want the change, but how much are they willing to put in to actually make the change? You've got a lot of people to fight in order to get the change made. It's like
And some of those people gonna be some of your own people. I'm
you
gonna
got to
just
be
say that.
prepared to leave them behind. It's tough. To turn the tide is going to take generations, but it is tough.
Hmm.
It is tough. Everybody just needs to
See,
focus on themselves.
here's what I was gonna say, because I was gonna try to go up on somebody's lives and talk about see, even with Gen Z sort of being the second wave of the shift that's occurring
Mm.
in black male productivity,
Mhm.
you can say all this stuff all you want, you won't be alive to see it, Senji.
Yeah.
You won't be alive. This is going to take multiple generations. This is going to be after Generation Alpha, which is after Gen Z.
It's true. Like you can build something now and you can maybe have a nice life now, but apparently even after single motherhood it takes 3 generations. So it's going to take a while to get people in the right place. You know, foundations laid, houses bought and built, and all the things that black people, just any functioning community needs. It's going to take time, and we don't really have time. I think it's, from a spiritual perspective, you're kind of staving off the inevitable, and for the community, it's kind of the same in the secular but you probably could have a bit longer if we could get more people on board to just mind their own little quarter. We don't need to save the whole community. That's not possible. But you have to get a decent number of people who are just willing to build something small, and then from there let it grow. But that's why I value the space, because out of the many people, there will be a lot of people who will be helped and saved, quote unquote. But I've never been a person who believes you can save everybody. So I know some people do talk like that, or Kevin Samuels is going to save the community or something like that. We know that's not going to happen, because a lot of people don't want to be saved.
Yeah, the way I look at it is there's this scene in one of the Spider-Man movies, and it's holding the Professor Reptile guy. I forget his name or whatever, but Peter Parker has developed such an attachment to him when he was in his human form that he doesn't realize the beast that he is now, and he's still trying to save him even as the villain is trying to kill him.
Mm-mm.
And so Spider-Man is hanging by the helicopter, and he has the reptile by the web, and he's pleading with it, crying with it, telling it not to struggle, otherwise you will fall. And it can talk and understand him, but it doesn't listen. And scene ends with the Professor Reptile falling to his death. So that's the way I look at it. Sometimes in order to save yourself, you have to let go.
It's so funny you say that, because I was watching this thing about, I just happened to stumble across this video to do with it was actually kangaroos, and the kangaroo was being chased by a wild dog, and it's kind of like at the last resort, the kangaroo carries the little Joey in its pouch. The mother will actually throw out the baby in order to save itself. And I was like, she understands, even being an animal, that she has to make a sacrifice for the long-term good of generations to come. Now, I'm not saying that women should sacrifice their kids or something, but there are sacrifices we have to make. And this is one of the biggest problems in the Black community. It's like, throw it right at a predator. Now, we obviously don't want that in the literal sense in the Black community, but it's about throwing away things that even we value, like, as the woman said, I mean, when she made the point about women giving access to men who are not on their level, I kind of agree with that. One of the biggest incentives for men to perform is sexual access. So if you are going to, if you want men to be more incentivized to perform, they have to not be rewarded for being lazy. There's just no two ways about it. And I know a lot of brothers are not going to like that, because they like the fact to a degree that they can get access without actually doing any work. But you have to let go of things. You have to give up things. You have to change. I have to change. I'm not perfect in any way or shape or form. That's how it goes. For the community to actually start moving in the right direction, people are going to have to decide to make certain sacrifices. So George said, is the person you're trying to find the name for Kurt Connors? Dimitri's gone. So let's see what else Umar has to say.
This little girl inside of you that cries out for validation by any means necessary. This is the abused little girl inside of you whose father wasn't there to pour love and pour strength and pour abundance into your soul. And now you're running around looking for validation, and you will let the most unqualified and uncertified. You will let the most unqualified and uncertified. You will let the most unqualified and uncertified YouTubian beta male tear you apart in front of your peers, because you just hoping that this one time, you will get publicly validated. And you think that if you get publicly validated, if you think that you are get publicly validated, you might feel better about yourself. And I'm here to tell you that the mind loves to play tricks on you. Your mind loves to play tricks on you. That's right. Your mind wants you to think that if you can get one of these YouTubian beta males to validate you publicly, your self-esteem will go up. But it won't. These are the games the unconscious plays on your mind, black woman. These are the games that your unconscious plays on your mind, black woman. Don't let your mind play games on you. Don't let that little girl inside of you who was victimized as a child. Don't let that little girl inside of you that was victimized by your first husband. Don't let that little girl inside of you that was sexually assaulted or physically assaulted by her mother's boyfriend. Don't let the pain of that little girl. Don't let the pain of your inner child, black woman. Don't let the inner child run your life. See, black woman, I want you to understand something. When you read For Sisters Only book, you're going to learn about that little girl that every black woman got living inside of her. And that little girl is scarred and hurt. All of what you've been through as a little girl, all the sexual molestations you've been through as a little girl, the sexual abuse and exploitations you've been through as a little girl, the relationships you've been in that did not turn out right. That little girl in you is trying to heal, but she doesn't know how to heal, so she's motivating you to get involved in dysfunctional relationships and dysfunctional situations to get your unmet needs met. That's right.
So he has a little bit of a point here. There is some validity to that point, that when people have unresolved traumas, they do go seeking out situations that are familiar even when they're abusive. But we don't want to conflate a black man with abuse. And we also have to ask, if these women have been through certain things as children, where were their mothers? I did an entire video on this. Like, when you talk about minors, they are under the jurisdiction of adults. So where were the mothers who vetted these men that came into these children's lives? And, you know, he's trying to skirt around holding the women accountable, but that bit of the conversation always gets left out with people like Umar.
Yeah, I agree.
I just thought that was a low place to go. If you're trying to evoke people's childhood traumas to that degree, I'm just like, wow, you will say anything just to get $1 and some likes.
When you find yourself going on these YouTube platforms to let uncredentialed, uncertified people, when you go on these YouTube platforms to let uncredentialed strangers evaluate you, that's the little girl in you. That's the little girl in you crying out for validation. And I'm telling you, sister, if your father is still alive, if your father figure is still alive, if your uncle or grandfather is still alive, if you have a pastor who ain't trying to get in your panties, if you have a pastor who ain't trying to get in your panties, you can have a conversation with a man who doesn't have a sexual interest in you. You can have a conversation with a man who doesn't have a sexual interest in you to help get those unmet needs. See, every woman in the world.
Well, that disqualifies Umar, because I don't know what woman he's not sexually interested in.
We're talking about our queens. Every woman in the world, but we're talking about our queens. Every woman in the world needs a man who loves her without any interest of sexual intercourse. Listen to me well, black woman. In order for you to be healthy, you have to have a man you can go to and get emotional healing and support. And that man is so secure in his manhood and so in control of his hormones and his root chakra. See, black men, we got to get our root chakras under control. The black man has to get his root chakra. Black men, the reason why some of us are so hypersexual is our root chakra is out of control. We have to get our root chakras under control if we really...
Root chakra bear, shout out to Obsidian. That was a classic. But
the root chakra.
Can you believe it? You know, root chakra is out of order. But the thing about it is this: a lot of women don't want to take telling from men. So it's like he's saying you got to go and find a man who's going to give you, you know, the truth without sexual attention. But most of these women don't value or respect male opinion.
True. We saw that with getting flashbacks. True Kitchen and Cocktails. Over by me in Dallas.
Oh my gosh. You see what I'm saying? So this idea that the women want advice, Chakra Khan, George says Chakra Khan. I agree with that. I have a friend that talks to me and I don't have sex with her. And I wanted to do the topic, can men and women be friends? Because if we can't be friends, how can we be anything more? But, you know, that's
the black sisterhood. I'm saying we got to get our root chakras under control.
I have an opinion on that.
Go on.
See, the female friends that I have like no attraction to. like whatsoever. I don't think they're ugly. I'm just not attracted to them. So it's literally as simple as that. So it's not, can men and women be friends? It's, can people who are attracted to each other be friends? Can
Yeah,
exes be friends?
I agree. I agree.
Can
Because
go ahead.
no, go on, finish what you're saying.
So I was gonna draw this into the whole, can exes be friends? Yeah, they can be friends, but a lot of people, because a lot of people don't know how to deal with those issues, and they don't know how to cope. They don't know how to really truly get over the relationship, so they just end up just hating on their exes. Which, by the way, if you don't know that, that's a very big red flag. If
Yeah,
they just can't stop talking trash about their ex,
I
that's a
hear it's like
very big red
indifference is
flag.
where you want it to be. If the person is still pining for them or they talk a lot of trash about them, it's actually a sign they still want them. That's what I heard.
It's true, because they're still bothered about it.
It's really you want the person to be indifferent, like, yeah, we dated and it ended and
Okay,
meh.
okay. You want to know the truth? Okay, about me. There was this girl I dated, and
Confession time.
and yeah, whether you want to count it or not, we dated early high school. I told her not to do something, and she kept doing it. It was like she wasn't like communicating with me, so I couldn't tell like what was going on with her at all, and that's annoying to me, because
Mm.
I don't want to have to play Scooby Doo every single time I'm around you. And so I told her to like, yo, like, give me something to go off of, because
Oh.
she was usually so blank faced. It wasn't like a B face; it was just blank faced. And she didn't. So I broke up with her on her
Mm.
birthday.
Oh
I was like, "Happy
wow.
birthday! You're single."
You're heartless. You're mean.
No, I apologized senior year before we graduated.
But yeah, you taught a good lesson though.
Bet you
But
she never did it again, though.
well, that's what I don't know if you know of a channel called the Roger Report, and he's like, if you don't check these women, even if the relationship ends, you're basically preparing her to be a better partner for the next man. So she might not play that game again with the next guy because she doesn't want to feel the sting of the birthday present being you're single. She's not going to try that again. So yeah, and you did the right thing. You stood up for yourself. You had a boundary. You let her know, like, I'm not your walkover, and that's one of the best things a man can do. But unfortunately, a lot of brothers, they don't have it in them. They're so indoctrinated to believe that the woman's happiness is the most important thing that they will tolerate anything just to say I've got a woman, and that's scary. But a lot of women are not going to call that out because it works in their favor when they want to actually utilize these men. So and Umar's part of the problem. I don't know what we're going to do with him. We can't technically abduct him or something, but we need to get rid of them. We need to get rid of men like
Because
Umar.
every black woman needs a man that she can depend on for emotional support that doesn't lead to sexual abuse. And I'm using sexual abuse in the general sense, not having sexually raped or anything, but having sex with a woman who really don't need sex can be a form of sexual abuse. Having sex with a woman who really don't need sex, who's looking for love, that can be considered a form of sexual abuse, brothers and sisters.
Mm-mm.
And so black men have to get our root chakras under control, so when sisters come to us, we can...
That's a very dangerous thing he said right there, because he's almost giving women the license to say that everything is kind of getting lumped into abuse at this point. The broader the definition, the more dangerous it's becoming. And some people are saying that men don't want to marry because they're watching too much red pill content. No, they're just tired of walking on eggshells because they don't know when a woman is going to make some crazy accusation against them. I felt like it was this. I felt like it was that. Happy birthday, babe. You're single. Happy wife, happy life was crazy thinking. What do you think about that statement, Dimitri? I'm just going to run out for a second. But George said,
Mm. Oh, go ahead.
no, George says, happy wife, happy life is crazy thinking. And what's your thoughts on that?
See, the thing about it is it teaches the man to neglect himself. So, yeah, your wife can be happy. So, what you've just done in her mind is you simulated a false reality as to where you are both happy. So then she gets mad or she's confused when you break up with her, which is which is here's the thing. If you never talked to her or expressed concern about anything and then like made a plan to make it happen or helped her make a plan to make it happen, then I can't defend you on that because you have to talk to your partner. We have to normalize that. Otherwise, yeah, you're gonna get the happy birthday, babe. You're single. So
I'm not dating Dimitri, he'll dump me on my birthday. But you see, back in the day, the wife actually cared about the happiness of the husband. He could trust her. He knew that when I make my wife happy, or whatever I bring her, or whatever I do for her, ultimately she's going to make it more. She's going to multiply it. As long as I keep my wife happy, I know she's always got my back. But that's got warped nowadays. As you said, a lack of communication, people coming into relationships with a lot of ulterior motives. And a man cannot necessarily trust that his woman has his back. Because look at what Sweetie did to, is it Quavo? She was talking about a Birkin and she got a Mercedes. And she's still hitting the man in the lift. Like you've literally got like a house and a car. And you're still abusing the man. So
see, what if we normalize taking the gifts back at the end of relationships?
you know what?
I
You
wonder.
need to, yeah. You need
It's
to.
like that woman who was collecting rings on like she was Sonic on Kevin Samuel's show.
Oh, she what
I
was
was
it? She
like,
had three.
this woman thinks she a blue hedgehog.
Don't talk about my first love anyhow, you know. Be careful. Tread lightly. But but yeah, like now me personally, I wouldn't want it. I don't want to be reminded. So the guy would have got his ring back.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't. I really no. It's okay.
I'm imagining her flexing on her friends.
It's crazy. We really are out of touch. Women are out of touch. They are so confused. They have lost. We have a lot of us have lost our femininity. We've lost our way. We think because we're academically or maybe job wise or career wise, we're very accomplished. We're actually doing something, and I think a lot of people need to just accept that they want a partner. They want to be loved. They want a relationship, and there's nothing wrong with that. But
Oh yeah, that's another issue with the other side of YouTube. I've heard the Mademoiselle speak on this. I watch it sometimes to get like an alternate perspective
and
on
sometimes she can
certain
be quite fair and
situations.
balanced. She can. She's not
Hmm.
always. She's
That's
not
why
always.
I like her
At times she can
over a
call
lot of
her
others.
right. Yeah. And what was she
Um,
saying?
she was wait, what was my point? I forgot. I'm sorry. I have not slept for like 3 days.
You've been busy. I know. You're so happy now. You're free, isn't it?
Yes, I'm like free
You
because I
said
was
your
glued to my
semester's
computer.
finished.
Yeah, the semester's finished. Yeah, but I haven't slept in like 3 days because the last 3 days were the most intensive. But anyways, yeah, she was speaking about, I think, which one was this? She was speaking about independent black woman thing, how you can't like chant independence and then ask somebody to come save you.
It's
Eh,
true.
I like her content. It's like because it's true. Because it's like nah. Where's all that independence now?
Because I actually watched a breakdown when she was critiquing a trans woman who was saying black women are ugly. And
I saw that. I saw Chrissy's confrontation with that woman, Sasha.
I wasn't really feeling that, because I was like, she kept flip flopping. You know, the problem with liberals? Liberals have a really hard time because they want to accept everybody's points of view, but then they don't want, but then after a while, the liberal point of view infringes on you because they don't want certain traditional views. It's like there's no way to marry everybody's desires, because if you're saying everybody has the right to do what they want, well, what if what I want infringes on your rights? It's like, now whose right is more important? So liberal ideology never really makes any sense. But I'm going to wrap this one up soon because I see Bronzebird has started a live stream. So shall we all head
Oh,
over to
okay.
Bronzebird? What do you think?
Yeah, I'll head over there.
What I might do, I'm going to be cheeky. I'm going to actually uh, drop his link so we can all just go over with ease rather than see. Come on, girl, you can do this.
I will speak to your last point though. Yeah, historically, it's been proven true that progressive thinking can be like it just takes you in a loop sometimes.
It's true. And what we were talking about before is men wanting to be with each other. So I haven't forgotten because I'm looking forward to this conversation that we're going to have regarding relationships. Because it might not be the popular opinion because we know the current climate is not really in the man's favor. But men and women do want to be together. And we got to have the conversation about how we can make it work, because we can't have a community if we don't have families. So we've got to pick a struggle. Either we're having families or we're not having families. And if we have no families, we have no community. So I'm dropping the link now for everybody who wants to go over. We're going to go over to Bronzebird, and he's talking about friendship heights. So I really appreciate everybody that came through. Great Britain, great to see you in the building. I'm really sorry that I'm naughty. I always go live at a time that's not good for everybody in the States. George Golden, bringing clarity to confusion. Who else did I see in the building earlier? Bronzebird, even though he's gone. So if you guys are catching this on the restream, please drop your thoughts in the comment section. Like and subscribe. We know what Umar said already. He's a hypocrite. He then went on to later say that you guys are 50 and you squandered your best years, which means he knows exactly the problem why black women are not actually getting married. He's the one of the big problems in the black community, leading black women astray. But we can push back on all of these narratives. And I'm glad that Dimitri was able to come up. I'm looking forward to doing the one-on-one with you about relationships, and I've got some other ideas I want to run past you. So hit the like button, subscribe, and
Me
share, and
too.
I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
Peace.